In the late 8th century, as the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms carried on their rivalries and the monasteries of England thrived in quiet devotion, a new force began to stir across the North Sea. They were not yet feared, not yet fully known, but soon their name would echo through every corner of Europe: the Norsemen, the Vikings. But who were they really? To understand the Viking invasions of England, we must first understand the people behind them, their origins, their way of life, and what drove them from their northern homelands toward foreign shores. The term Viking doesn't refer to a single tribe or nation. It describes a lifestyle, that of seafaring raiders and explorers practiced by people from what is now Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. These Norse societies were not unified kingdoms in the early days. Instead, they were collections of small chieftaincies and clans, governed by local leaders known as jarls, and shaped by harsh climates, limited farmland, and deeply rooted traditions. Their society was structured, but it was also flexible. At the top were kings and jarls, followed by freemen, farmers, craftsmen, and traders, and below them thralls or slaves. Unlike many European societies of the time, Norse women had comparatively more rights. They could own property, initiate divorce, and even rule in their husband's absence. The Norse people lived off both land and sea. Their diets included barley, fish, meat, and dairy, and their homes were longhouses made of wood and turf, built to endure the cold. Their craftsmanship was advanced. They made tools, jewelry, and weapons with remarkable skill. But their greatest innovation, and the one that would carry their name far beyond their homelands, was the longship. Sleek, fast, and shallow-drafted, Viking longships could cross open seas or navigate narrow rivers. They were light enough to be carried across land and strong enough to survive the Atlantic. With these ships, Norsemen could appear suddenly, strike quickly, and vanish before local forces could respond. This ability gave rise to one of the most feared military strategies of the early medieval period, the lightning raid. Religion in Norse society was pagan. They believed in a pantheon of gods, Odin, Thor, Freya, and Loki among them, and lived by a worldview that valued courage, honor, and the glory earned through battle. The concept of Valhalla, a warrior's afterlife, was central to Viking culture. Dying in combat was not a failure, it was a passage to something greater. But the question remains, why did they begin raiding? The answer lies not in a single cause, but in a complex web of factors: political, economic, social, and even environmental, all pushing the Norse people toward the sea. First, there was limited land and overpopulation. Much of Scandinavia is mountainous, forested, or unsuitable for large-scale agriculture. With inheritance systems favoring firstborn sons, many younger siblings were left without land or prospects, forcing them to look outward for opportunity. Raiding, trading, and settling overseas became an attractive solution for restless, landless men. One cannot ignore the cultural mindset of the Norse. Their society celebrated bravery, adventure, and warrior values. A good death in battle meant an honored afterlife in Valhalla. To fight and win was glorious. To raid and return with riches was a triumph. This was not viewed as savagery. It was the way of their world. Technological innovation also played a part. The development of the Viking longship was revolutionary. These vessels were swift, agile, and capable of navigating both open seas and shallow rivers. In the year 793, the world changed forever when a Viking raiding party descended upon the peaceful monastery at Lindisfarne in Northumbria. The attack was brutal and unexpected. Monks were killed, treasure was taken, and the sacred site was left in ruins. This was no longer trade, it was war. The raid on Lindisfarne was not the beginning of Viking exploration, but it marked the beginning of a new phase, the Viking Age. Over the next decades, waves of Norse raiders, warriors, and settlers would strike England's coasts, rivers, and towns, pushing deeper into the heart of the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms.